Okay, so in Objective 4, this is the second part where we're talking about being able to graph the equation of line when it's in standard form. So let's review standard form again. So if you have forgotten, standard form of a line looks like this. AX plus BY is equal to C, where A and B are not both equal to 0. Each individually can be 0. So A could be 0, or B could be 0, but not both. Because if they were both equal to 0, you'd have 0 equals C, and nobody's going to graph that. Okay, now another thing I'm going to point out to you is something about the A, the B, and the C. The A and the B and the C are usually taken to be integers. So I want you to make some sort of note about this, because I'm going to ask you in the next lesson to write your equation in standard form, and if you leave fractions, I'm going to take off some points because I want them to be integers. Okay, now since this is not in y equals mx plus b form, it's not easy to see what the slope is or the y-intercept. So here's a different method to graph it. It's just finding the x and the y-intercepts. If you want to find the y-intercept, what is the x value? The x value is 0. So what you do is you let x equal 0, you solve that equation for y, and then that's your y-intercept. You get a dot. Put it on the graph. Okay. Now you need to find your x-intercept. To find your x-intercept, you're going to let y equal to 0 and solve it for x this time. And that's going to be the x-intercept, of course. And then you plot that on your graph. You've got 2 points. And from geometry, we know that any 2 points in a plane make a line. So there we go. Let's try that, shall we? On number 1, I have 2x plus 5y is equal to 10. So let's go ahead and find our x and our y-intercept, plot those 2 points, and then graph our line. So in order to find the x-intercept, all I need to do is plug in 0 for y, and I'd have 2x is equal to 10, so x is equal to 5. So there's the x-intercept. If I want to find the y-intercept, plug 0 in for x. So that whole term is gone, and I'd have 5y is equal to 10, divide by 5, y is equal to 2. So here are 2 points, and that's enough, especially if you have a ruler, to graph your line. Let's see if it's enough for me in my graphics tablet. Close enough. Excellent. Alright, on number 2, same kind of thing, same deal. If I want to find my x-intercept, let's make y equal to 0 and divide by -2, and I have my x is equal to -3. In order to find my y-intercept, make x equal to 0. That term disappears, divide by -3. I'd get y is equal to -2. Notice how these things have just kind of switched spots. Is it always going to be like that? If it's not, when is it going to be like that? Those are some questions worth pondering. Okay, so my y-intercept is +2 dot, and my x-intercept is -3 dot, and now just go ahead and graph that. And if you could, make that noise too. Okay, and then finally, here are 2 of them for you to try. Standard form, graph those 2 equations. One of them might look familiar. Alright, so how'd you do? Is this what you did? Okay, so on number 3, my x-intercept was 4, y-intercept was -6. Graph those 2 points, connect them, make the line. Over here on number 4, this was the one we're revisiting it from whenever we had it with the slope-intercept form. And we could see that if I just use the 2 red dots, my x-intercept at 10, y-intercept at 2.5, that's enough to graph the line. No headaches with little half grid marks whenever you do the slope. Here is something else that I'll point out to you. If you look closely at this picture, you might see some green dots in there too. So, do you have to graph a line starting at the y-intercept? can I just pick any point on the line, and if I have the slope, use the same slope to graph the line? And the answer is yes. So I don't have to start at the y-intercept, which is at 2.5. I can start at the x-intercept, which is 10. And remember from way back when, the slope was negative 1/4. So I went up 1 and over 4, there's a dot. Up 1, over 4, there's a dot, and so on. So there's another way that you can graph it. If you can find any point that's exactly on grid marks, then you can find the slope and then graph it maybe a little bit more accurately. Okay, the last question here. No, this is not the last. I think I got a little bit more on this. I'm going to stretch it out a bit. For an equation in standard form, ax plus by is equal to c, what's the slope of the line in terms of a and b? So how do I get the slope if I just have standard form? Well, I know how to get the slope if it's in slope-intercept form, because it's the m on mx. So if I could just solve this thing for y, it would be in slope-intercept form, and I know what the slope is. So let me just write it down again. Plus by equals c, and let's just solve that for y. So I want to get rid of the ax term, so let's subtract the ax term. Subtract the ax term over here to get rid of it. And I have by. I'm just going to rearrange these, put them in an order that's usually familiar to me, and that's ax minus ax plus c. I did that because the x, it's like the mx, and I'm almost there. Now the only thing that I have to do is I have to divide everything by b. Divide by b. When I do, I get y is equal to negative a over b x plus c over b. Negative a over b is the slope. So if you just took the standard form of the line and you took negative a, the opposite of a, divided by b, that would be the slope of your line. Okay? Alright, so the last thing on here is actually horizontal and vertical lines. These are pretty simple, okay? So first of all, let's do the horizontal line. If it's a horizontal line, the slope is 0. M is 0 times x, it disappears, and all you have is y equals b, the y-intercept. So whatever point it goes through, for example, this one goes through 0, 5, then my line is just y equals 5. Y equals 5 on this. But I didn't need to have the y-intercept. I could have had this point over here. It is 6, 5, and I still know that the horizontal line that goes through it is y equals 5. Okay? Now, I can't use the same kind of reasoning for a vertical line because its slope's undefined. And you can't put that into y equals mx plus b. You can't put undefined in there. So, take a look at this line here. What do we know about every single x-coordinate on it? Well, every single x-coordinate on it is equal to 4. And that's exactly what the equation is. For a vertical line, it is of the form x equals a, where a is the x-intercept. So any point that's on the line, you can very easily find the equation of the vertical line, x equals whatever the x value is, x equals a. Alright, so look at number 1 here. On our final exercise, graph these lines, x equals 1. Since it's x equals something, my x's never change. They always stay 1. X is 1, x is 1, x is 1, x is 1. I've got myself a vertical line. Just draw yourself a vertical line through 1. Very nice. Okay, so now on number 2, I'm saying no matter what, my y value is negative 4. So there's negative 4. It's always negative 4. If I go this way, I go that way. It doesn't matter. This is a perfect horizontal line. Okay, and that concludes this objective on being able to graph the equations of lines in either slope-intercept or standard form. So this whole entire lesson, there's a lot in here. Found slope given 2 points, change in y over change in x. Also, if I knew what the slope number was, I could say something about the line, whether it was rising or falling, horizontal or vertical. Number 3, I've been able to find the slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel means they're the same, perpendicular, negative reciprocal. And of course, we were just graphing some equations. And there's a guy karate kicking and maybe punching too, Leaning Tower of Pisa, because maybe it really pissed him off. Okay. There's your assignment. Make sure you have those challenge problems if you're in the flip class, and I will see you in class.